Privacy has become one of the hottest topics in information security at the beginning of the 21st century. Privacy in the context of information security is the right of individuals or groups to protect themselves and their information from unauthorized access, providing confidentiality. These are some regulations in the US Legal Code, which stipulate responsibilities of common carriers to protect the confidentiality of customer information. Related to privacy legislation is a growing body of law on identity theft. The primary legislation at the federal level is fraud and related activity in connection with identification documents, authentication features, and information, which criminalizes the creation, reproduction, transfer, possession, or use of unauthorized or false identification documents or document making equipment. The FTC recommends that people take the following four steps when they suspect they are victims of identity theft. One is place an initial fraud alert. Two is order your credit reports. Three, create an identity theft report. And fourth, monitor your progress. HIPAA protects the confidentiality and security of healthcare data by establishing and enforcing standards and by standardizing electronic data interchange. HIPAA affects all healthcare organizations, including universities, as well as some organizations that have self-insured employee health programs. HIPAA specifies stiff penalties for organizations that fail to comply with the law. Economic Espionage Act in 1996 attempts to prevent trade secrets from being illegally shared, while the Security and Freedom through Encryption Act of 1999 provides guidance for the use of encryption and provides protection from government intervention. As illustrated here, the distribution of many software packages is restricted to approved organizations, governments, and countries. Intellectual property is a protected asset in the United States. The U.S. copyright law extends this privilege to published works, including electronic formats. As long as proper acknowledgement is provided to the original author of such works, it is entirely permissible to include portions of someone else's work as a reference. The SOX is a critical piece of legislation that affects the executive management of publicly traded corporations and public accounting firms. The law seeks to improve the reliability and accuracy of financial reporting, as well as increase the accountability of corporate governance in publicly traded companies. The FOIA allows any person to request access to federal agency records or information not determined to be a matter of national security. Agencies of the federal government are required to disclose requested information upon receipt of a written request. A critical fact to keep in mind when reading federal computer laws is that the majority of them are written specifically to protect federal information systems. The laws have little applicability to private organizations. Information security professionals must understand state laws and regulations and ensure that their organization's security policies and procedures are in compliance. IT professionals and information security practitioners must realize that when their organizations do business on the internet, they do business globally. Because of the political complexities of relationships among nations and differences in culture, few current international laws cover privacy and information security. This convention has been well received by advocates of intellectual property rights because it emphasizes prosecution for copyright infringement. The overall goal of the convention is to simplify the acquisition of information for law enforcement agencies in certain types of international crimes. It also simplifies the extradition process. TRIPS was created by the WTO, introduced intellectual property rules into the multilateral trade system. It outlines requirements for governmental oversight and legislation of WTO member countries to provide minimal levels of protection for intellectual property. The WTO TRIPS agreement covers 5 issues: how basic principles of trading system and other international intellectual property agreements should be applied, how to give adequate protection to intellectual property rights, how countries should enforce those rights adequately within their own borders, how to settle disputes on intellectual property between members of the WTO, and special transitional arrangements during the period when the new system is being introduced. The DMCA reduces the impact of copyright, trademark, and privacy infringement, especially when accomplished via the removal of technological copyright protection measures. The DMCA prohibits circumvention of protections and countermeasures, manufacture and trafficking of devices used to circumvent such protections, and prohibits